Okay, here's a tutorial on how to create a pre-test or a quiz using Goole Forms and then using an add-on extension called Flubaroo to do an automatic grading piece for you. So we're in Google Drive. I'm going to go up to hit Create to create my form. You have to make a decision here, require Baker College login to view this form, so you have to decide if that's what you want. I like to automatically collect the respondent's Baker College username because there might be some follow-up that I need to do with this particular quiz. Practice Flubaroo. Got to give your quiz a name, otherwise it's going to stay as untitled form, so I've done that. Now in the particular question types, you have this little drop-down box where you can choose whatever type of question you want. I am going to start off with a text because I'm going to change this to collect the individual's name who participated in this quiz. I'm going to click on required question, otherwise the person taking the quiz does not have to answer that question. If I'm done, I would hit here, but I'm going to add some more questions. If you're going to add the same question type, you can just click Add Item, or you can click the drop-down menu to change the question type. Since I'm going to keep the same question type, I'll just hit the Add Item. Also again, say it's a required question, Add Item, and then whatever other information you might want to gather. It's a required question, add an item. This time I'm going to go down here because I'm going to create a multiple choice question. Okay, so I'm going to say that that's a required question, and I'm going to add another one of those same types of questions. And again, I'm just creating questions here. Obviously, the question would be whatever the information is that you are trying to gather. List that as a required question. And I'm just going to create one more question here. Now notice here, as I've created these questions, I have not identified what the correct answer is in any of these questions at this particular point. I have some additional settings down here. I showed the link to submit another response. Don't really want to do that. I want each person just to take this quiz one time. I'm going to say done. I now have my quiz laid out the way I want. If I need to change something, I can go over here and click on this pencil, and that allows me to get into an edit menu here. I can also delete the question. I have the ability to change the order of the question as well. Once I get inside, I can just kind of click and drag and move things around to a different order. So at this particular point, I'm going to send the form. So I can enter the email address in of the people who I want to get this particular quiz. And I'm going to just put myself in here, a couple of different email addresses that I have. So that's essentially me 3 times. Now when I hit send, I'm going to get this error message because I have included an email address that is outside the @baker.edu domain, and it's just going to warn me that. Are you sure you'd like to open this form to users from outside Baker College? So this is where you can make that call. In this case, I'm going to say OK. So I'm going to make that happen. So up in here in this View Live Forms, I'm just going to go here to actually show you what the form looks like at this particular point. I can do things with themes and make it fancy if I want, but this is just a basic form that we're going to use for quiz purposes. So I'm going to purple. And I'm going to submit the form. Go back to the form itself, hit View Live Form. And that person has answered it. So I'm going to go back one more time. View Live Form. And I'm going to hit submit. So now I have some folks who have taken the quiz. So I have some responses to that quiz. Okay, now one of the things that we need to do is we need to create one more. And this is actually going to be our answer key. So remember, all these little red asterisks here means that these are required fields, so I have to put something in there. So I'm just going to call this the answers. Just put some stuff in the box here. Then we have to identify the answers. The sun is yellow, four-legged animal that stands on its two legs, kangaroo, and winter is when snow happens. So I go this way. So I've had, essentially, based on what you saw, is 4 individual versions, and we have here, you can see the 4 responses, okay, but one of the responses is actually what we're going to use as the answer key. So I'm going to go to this area here where it says View Responses, and you can see we have our responses there. I'm going to go here to Add-on, and normally you wouldn't see this Flubaroo here. This is actually what we're going to go grab. You would go to Get Add-ons, and then if it doesn't pop up here, these are some of the ones that I've used frequently or recently, so they pop up here. But you're going to have to go to the search box, and you'll find Flubaroo, and it pulls it up, and then you're going to have to click on Manage. And it's going to do its thing. You will eventually have to walk yourself through saying submit, saying OK, because it has to configure itself to your world here. So we're going to use Flubaroo to grade our assignment. So it's going to have a point for a scoring system for everything that is actually a question. The other things this identifies the particular student. Now you can change it to things or identify it as skip grading. I usually just leave these alone here because these answers, whatever they put, identifies the student. I need to change this one because we don't want them, there's not going to be a right or wrong for campus. So we're going to also say that that identifies the student. And then we're going to leave these things as individual points. You can make them more points if there's like a weighting system, if this one is worth twice as many as the other ones, but we're just going to leave everything at 1 point. And we're going to say continued. Okay, and then what's going to ask you is which one of these is your answer key. So that's why we made that last one. So we're just going to come over here and we're going to put a little click in that particular box, and we're going to go over here and hit continue. There we go. So it's now grading your assignment. And then you can view grades. So what I want to show you here is what the summary results look like. So we have the points possible, 3. Here's our average, so it tabulated that for us. Number of low scoring questions, we'll get to that in a moment, and counted sessions. So here's the dates. Here's the individual names of the person. Remember, one of our questions was for them to enter the username, so you have this column in case you need to send out email addresses or that type of thing. Here's their total score, and here's their percentage. So for purposes of, you know, needing like an 80% or better, you could just quickly eyeball this thing. Something to know from a score point of view is Flubaroo will identify some things in colors based on poor scores and stuff like that. So that might be able to be something to help you out. But for the most part, as you can see here, anything that somebody scores below a 60% will be highlighted by Flubaroo. So in these cases, this was both above 60%. It's just an arbitrary number that they put together to point out, you know, I guess failure, because below a 60% would be considered failure. So there you go. That will allow you to, you have the ability to email grade here and a lot of other types of things if you wanted them to know what it is. But the big column in our particular purpose here for what we need is our percent column. So that is creating a quiz or a pretest in Google Forms and using Flubaroo to do an auto grade for you. Hopefully that's helpful.